I thought that I will read poems that appear in two things. I thought this is a current issue, a recent issue of cc&d magazine, July, August 2019. It's called Of This I Am Certain, which is some looming a highway or mountainside in Pennsylvania, which this is usually a cover that would go on a collection book or something, so I don't like this on this. But it also happens to be in my poetry book, Pheromones. And I don't know which I should read it out of, so I'm going to cue it up to both of them. And this is a poem called Other People's Worlds. And as you see, I've got bookmarks anywhere for shadows.
Oh, both.
Might as well have you from trips and whatnot. This poem is called Other People's Worlds. As she tries to read. We spend our lives planning rituals, celebrating holidays, remembering birthdays, marking every passing year. The human animal is the only animal to grasp time this way, counting anniversaries and fearing the forestward march. Do we forget to take stock, or do we wonder if we should surge ahead or create new goals as we race through life's linear maze? Check your clock, and that's what we humans do. Go ahead, look back, but don't stay still for too long, because time won't stop to wait for you to catch up. I read the wrong poem. I'm like, no, it's Other People's Worlds. It says on the other day. I'm like, I'm halfway done. I just read the wrong poem. What am I doing? They're really short, so please forgive me. I'm actually going to read this poem.
All right.
Oh my God. But it sounded great. And I think that same kind of music will work well with that one as well. Sorry. I'm sorry. But this is actually Other People. What I just read to you is Check Your Clock. It happened to be on this, because I cover that page just because I don't want to confuse myself.
I got a suggestion.
Uh-oh.
Why not just read out of one book?
I did, and I was reading the wrong poem out of the book. That was my problem.
Terrible.
No, well, either way, I got it right this time. Sorry, this is called Other People's Worlds. After spending a lifetime looking through a camera lens, photographing other people's lives, I look at the sum of what I've done. I see photos on the glass, framed on walls, scenes captured with vivid contrasts, and even caught in vibrant colors. And then I look at the people. Most are gripping and grinning in their instamatic moments, but some are looking away, and it makes me wonder. I've spent a lifetime glimpsing into other people's worlds. When I catch them looking away, I wonder, what are they thinking? What worlds am I missing by putting this camera in front of my face, pointing, clicking, just so I could stare and wonder? Because as will you forgive me if I still read 3 and that was 1?
I think you should read them all.
I'm sorry that I screwed that one up for you, but the other one, which is also in Pheromones, is in the September-October issue called In the Fall. I love that somebody put a picture of Poe on a dumpster in Chicago and then painted over it. I'm like, this is the coolest thing, because that's just a fun cover, I thought. So or fitting for prose, Tom knows this story. If there's just a little space and not enough room for artwork, I put a really tiny piece in here. But the lines are really long and they're really crammed. But in here, since I knew I had the space, I said, why don't I just put the lines sideways on the page? So I'm going to read this one. Yeah, I've got all my bookmarks. Thank you, sir. So this one is from In the Fall cc&d, as well as from Sideways Pheromones. This is called Queuing in Line and Shaping Your Life. Without a college education, men created companies that changed the modern world. Women have made Nobel Prize-winning scientific discoveries and inventions, even without a college education, back when they weren't even allowed to learn. Of course, going to school can really help you get your foot in the door, but some, in lieu of queuing in line and waiting for their chance to make a difference, they look for a way to subvert the system and get ahead on their own terms. So, remember, when you see those who seem like misfits as you're growing up, or maybe even once you're an adult, don't you dare discount them as nothing. Behind closed doors, they may be the ones deciding the world events and shaping your life. And you bought this book, you're gonna have to read something that's shaping your life or something. I'm going to read a poem from this book, Every Event of the Year. Just recently I was on Chicago radio and the DJ was looking at me and she goes, you know, when you look at it, it says Eve on it a lot. And I said, well, thank you. I don't consider myself as the mother of all mankind, but that's a really cool looking thing, having Eve on the cover like this. But it has nothing to do with it. I just thought it was really funny that you pointed that out. But this, for different days of the year, in, I don't know when in the year, because it's not in the table, it's only in the table of contents, but this is for the day that Saturn's moon Titan was discovered. So I wrote this piece. It's called Know What Planet She's From. On this date, in 1655, Christian Huygens discovered a satellite around the planet Saturn. That is what we now know of as the moon Titan, discovered today by this lone Dutchman. And also back then in 2015, a Dutch girl had discovered the intricacies of the Taj Mahal in India with a friend and a tour guide. And she circled around and walked ahead. And when the tour guide saw the Saturn car logo on the back of her backpack purse, the tour guide then said, "At least we know what planet she's from." And when this Dutch girl thinks of that still, she laughs about it to this day. I've always loved astronomy, so years ago when I bought my first car, I researched it, and I chose the Saturn, then in its second year of production. I deduced that the make, the model, the color, I went to the dealership, I made my choice, all without even going for a test drive. Because when you love astronomy as I do, you don't haggle. You know that this giant will give you everything that you need for as long as you want it. And that's how the universe works. Everything will be in order, making perfect sense. So after I, when stopped on the road in my Saturn, was hit by 2 cars and almost killed, respirators kept me alive. But my sister swore that if I was in another car, she was sure that I'd be dead. And not unlike the way this gas giant like Saturn and Jupiter protected planets like Earth from rocks, comets, death. And I could go on and on about my love affair with Saturn, but the real key for astronauts today is coming to understanding that Earth's history is actually in learning about Titan. Because this one moon, one of the 2 moons in the solar system larger than our moon, it is so much like our own Earth in its Earth's history. Get a load of this. Titan is the only body in the solar system that we know of that has hydraulic cycles. Translation, it has evaporation, condensation, and the all-important precipitation. It rains on Titan, just like Earth. Scientifically, it doesn't matter if that rain is nitrogen versus water. You're missing the point. It has weather patterns. This moon has weather patterns. Other moons do not. And you may laugh at me when I put emblems from my Saturn car on my purse as a fashion statement, but maybe my love affair was for far more than an American car. Maybe. Just maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was for the love of the solar system, the gas giants that kept our planet alive. And maybe it was for their moon, not so much unlike us. It was all that with creation in the solar system, how all the pieces seem to fit together so perfectly. We can see our history in Titan, discovered today, so long ago, and that alone can make us all fall in love again. It's scary when they keep yeah, that's insane. It's beautiful, but it's insane.
The end is not.
It never ends. Well, then you have to define which pieces are just rocks and are they actually, you know, but then what parts are in the icy walls and all this stuff. I thought I would share with you something from an old issue of cc&d magazine. cc&d used to run, is saddle stitched in the early days, and I think in '96 it ran as 8.5 by 11 pages, and I used brad fasteners, those little things for putting 8.5 by 11 pages together. And I had a news section and a philosophy monthly, and it says online, it said, if you want any of the old issues redone for Amazon, please let me know. And somebody did for May 1996, which I thought was really cool. But the news section, which had a listing of all of the Congress's email and snail mail addresses, I thought wouldn't be relevant to put in something in 2019, so you streamline it. And I had the stuff from it, and Poetry and Prose was a thing from 1986 that was reprinted for it. And I didn't have a lot of stuff in here or anything, but there was things like editorial notes, and I thought I would share with you a piece of prose poetry that is in the letters to the editor section from this cc&d book, Poetry and Prose, and it's called Dandelions for a Passing Stranger. I love my little red tricycle, the type that probably every suburban 3-year-old probably had. I would play on my driveway, riding past the evergreens, past the white mailbox, but I'd usually turn around before I rode up the gravel road on the neighbor's driveway, and then I'd ride back to the security of my own garage. I would sometimes play on the neighbor's driveway, since it was on a hill. I would scale to the top of their maroon-colored garage, navigate my trusted tricycle around by the rusted handlebars, hop onto my seat, and then just zoom downhill. But those were only for the times when I thought that no one was home at their house, and for when I was feeling particularly adventurous. Once I was riding up and down on a driveway, and I saw another little girl walking down the neighbor's yard. I watched her walk across my driveway, walking on the edge of our lawn. I was fascinated by this girl. There was this new face to look at, a girl with long blonde hair, so different from my own. She came from the lawn behind my house, and she was walking along the side of my driveway, away from my house. I just watched her walk. When she passed me, I looked over at my neighbor's yard. Our lawn was full of green grass. Theirs was full of dandelions. So I rode to the edge of my driveway, got off my tricycle, hopped over to the ledge, and ran over to my neighbor's lawn. I picked a dandelion. I quickly ran back to my tricycle. It patiently waited there, just where I left it. I pedaled fiercely to the end of my driveway and caught up with that little girl, still sitting in my tricycle. I looked up at her until she stopped walking right in front of me. I handed the dandelion to her. And the cover has
And that's your longest friend ever, right?
And she was my matron of honor. and it was clip art on the thing, but I thought it was so cool. The back cover, I just totally flipped it. It's backwards. And it says the back cover, and my logo is backward. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'll put that. Anywho, that's enough of that. Then I thought I would read to you something from the 26th-year anniversary issue of cc&d magazine, which was 2019, the May-June issue, released June 1st. And it was called A Rose in the Dark. And the theme for, hey, what's the anniversary for 26 years? And they said pictures. That and chocolates. And so, and I picked titles from things, and somebody had a piece in here called A Rose in the Dark. And so I was like, I'll have a rose, and I will take a bunch of pictures, and all of the pictures that are in this thing are pictures that were covers of past issues of cc&d magazine. There's a thing with the street that was on Route 666 in Pennsylvania. You know, like all these things are like, and there's a thing from the wall, the graffiti wall. Yeah, anyway, it's just good. But I just thought I'd share with you a poem from that actually happens to be in my poetry book, Pharaoh Memes. Dun, dun, dun. So I can do a two-handed, and I will scroll the poem readings this time. Actually, I will hold this one out so you can see the picture, because there's a picture on both of them. And it's a short poem called Ominous Day. As a gladiator here, I proudly drew my sword and fought. I was revered in Pompeii, winning too many battles to count. On one ominous day, when I saw Mount Vesuvius erupt, I drew my sword and charged toward that mountain. And then I was looking for something from every event of the year. It needs music, I guess. Oh, I did that, and I was like, I gotta take a picture. So yay, there it was. Now it's not blowing it away. This is written on International Scribble Day. This is how you look for something every day of the year to write when you're writing for every day of the year. And this was actually a holiday, so there you have it. So this one is called etching, scribbling, drawing. When I was little, I scribbled inane cartoon characters in my notebook and thought I was doing something groundbreaking, rebellious, or at least worthy. I thought this was supposed to be fun. When I was a teenager and sure that the world hated me, I scribbled into a journal towards the end of every year, cataloging all the terrible things that happened to me. I actually still have those scribbling journals. I'm sure my trite scribblings will be worth millions one day. As I got older, I tried to scribble my thoughts onto a computer, but it's not the same as taking a notebook to some secluded seating area outdoors, feeling like the Florida morning breeze glide past you as you drink a weak coffee and you only drink on occasions like this, and you let your mind reveal itself onto a page. Someone asked me to sign a piece of paper today. So I took a pen, found a space to place my name, and then I wondered if the pen actually would even work. So I went to the corner of the page and I started to scribble. Nothing came out at first. Then suddenly ink began to flow, and I started drawing circles, red circles, and then I scribbled a few back and forth lines intersecting my circles before I decided to sign my name. I thought about scribbling like that, just letting go for a moment, and it made me smile. I'm hosting next weekend. I have searched for poems that I didn't think I would read, just so that it would be different. So this is a poem from the book Pharaoh Memes. Pharaoh Memes. Pharaoh Memes. Short one. And because it says Instagram, Twitter, it's because there's often an image that accompanies them. And this one has that. I can find it. There it is. And it's called Kind of Like a City. And it's got a little picture of the, and it's one of the streets as you're coming in the expressways here. And that's what the image from. It seemed fitting for the same kind of like that. So here you go. I was driving on the expressway today in a town that will forever be foreign to my soul. There wasn't much traffic on this day, and I looked up to the sky with the tall interchanges to other roads. These skyscraper roads make me think of my toy car tracks. They were red. And by the way, I saw these tracks and they'd shoot up so high from my toy gas station. I always think that these streets are like my little toy car set for play, not real. This town is just a facsimile to my big city, never quite as big as my city deserves to always be. So I was driving, seeing the road and noticing the clouds of the entire town, almost like fog over the moors, almost like seemingly like smog. It wasn't smog, let me make that clear. There wasn't enough industry or enough people to hurt the environment so to make it look like a real city. But for that one moment, I drove down the expressway and saw what could be construed as smog and thought, I can't close my eyes driving down the road, but if I try to take a moment, I just might think that I was actually in a real city to me. I'm only driving, but sometimes, please, let me dream.
Ooh.
And I thought I'd never read this from every event of the year. And this one is actually for National Jewel Day. National Jewel Day. You didn't know how many crazy holidays to come up with, right? This one is called Zircon, Gemstones, Bubbles, and Balloon. Today it was like some sort of a contest. Some distance had already been traveled, and we still had to get to the last building, to the back room first to apparently win. Went charging into the strange building. It was the final stop, so I went upstairs because the back room was the end goal. But I saw 6 or 7 contestants in front. I thought that maybe I had lost the contest, but then I saw they were all just milling around. I stayed on the edges, tried to ascertain if they went in or what was holding them at bay. And not learning much, I gathered that they all waited for something, I know not what. So, since no one was looking toward that elusive back door, I snuck in to open it up. Once I got inside, I rushed to the back, touched the large faucet along the back wall. And then I turned around and I said, I made it. And a voice echoed loudly that I won. I didn't know what I had won in this contest. My goal all along was only to succeed. And succeed I did, as I now look back, and my greedy side now longed for more indeed. I was invincible after winning this contest, one of the hardest and strongest known. And come to think of it, the word diamond comes from the Greek word for invincible. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, I heard a bombshell croon. So maybe today my award will be diamonds and jewels that glitter and catch the eye like any winner would.